Hi, it's Miss Lisa from the St. Paris Public Library. Today is Thursday and it's our STEAM activity today. We're going to do a science experiment today on leaves, and we're going to talk a little bit about why leaves change colors in the fall. In the spring and the summer, the leaves are busy working on creating energy to help the tree grow, so they have something inside of them called chlorophyll. The chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight in the sky, and it helps the tree to convert water and carbon dioxide into tree food, which is starch and sugars. Chlorophyll is green, so that's what makes the leaves look green in the summertime. As we go into fall, into a new season, the weather starts to change because we're not rotating the same way, and we're a little bit farther from the sun. So if you notice, it might still be a really sunny day out in the fall, but not nearly as warm as it has been. So that's why, because we're not as close to the sun when we rotate now. So we get a less sunlight, which reduces the amount of chlorophyll and sunlight that the leaves are getting, so that natural colors of the leaves actually start to come through. So when you see a leaf that is red, that means that leaf was red the whole time, but there was so much chlorophyll in that leaf that it made it look green. Now, isn't that interesting? I thought that was very interesting. So we're going to do a little experiment on leaves. Let's get busy. Okay, so now we're going to talk about what we need for our science experiment today. You're going to need 3 glass containers that you can see through. I'm using quart jars because I don't have any small glasses. If you have small glasses that are like this big or whatever, those would be the best thing to do, but I'm just going to use those. I brought my cutting board out here because my table is not smooth. So you need a hard surface because you're going to do some leaf rubbing on your paper. So you need a hard surface. You need a quarter to do the rubbing with. You're going to need some tape. You need some rubbing alcohol. You don't need a whole lot of rubbing alcohol, just a little bit. You need a pair of scissors. And you need a coffee filter, at least one coffee filter, that you're going to cut into strips, and you're going to attach it to something that will hold it above the jar but touch the bottom. So I used butter knives because that's what I have, but you could use pencils or dowel rods or anything that you have. You don't want it to be touching the sides, but it has to touch the bottom because it has to get into the rubbing alcohol to absorb the rubbing alcohol. So you need 3 of these, 1 for each jar. And that's what I have, 3 of them. So I did those in advance. That's what I use the tape for. I just cut my coffee filter into strips and then wrapped it around my stick and taped it on there so that it would hold it in place. You also need some leaves, but they have to be green because you're going to find out what color is in the leaf. So you find some green leaves, and be careful and don't pick poison ivy. Most of it's red now, so you'll know which one's the poison ivy, but you never know. So you want some green leaves, and you want at least 3 different kinds of leaves. So you're going to take your paper and you're going to rub on the very bottom of it, and you're going to put it on the leaf. You can put it on the front or the back. I suggest put it on the front of the leaf, and you can rub on the back and lay it down flat. Take your quarter and rub over the leaf onto the paper. You might switch it over. Oh, there, it's working. It kind of tears the leaf up when you rub it, so kind of just be gentle so it doesn't rub too much on the paper. You don't want to rip your paper. Okay, so I don't know if you can see that, but now I've rubbed my part of the green off of my leaf onto that one. So I'm going to put it in there, and then I'm going to do that with each one using a different leaf on each piece of paper. Make sure you move all your other stuff away so that you don't end up with a bunch of the same on the same one, because you want it to be different so you can see the different colors. There's that one. That was pretty easy. My last one, I think I'm going to do this big one right here. But be gentle. And like I said, you'll tear your paper like I just did. So you want to be careful not to do that. Let's see how much I got on there. I didn't get very much on there. Let's try to do it this way. I'm going to do this one a little bit more because I ripped my paper and I didn't get very much on there. Okay. Ooh, that was a stinky leaf. All right, so there. So now I have some on each one. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the rubbing alcohol. You can use a measuring spoon or measuring cup if you want to do that part of the activity. I'm just going to squirt some in there though. I just need enough in there so that when I put my paper in there, it touches the bottom and it starts to pull up the alcohol into the paper. And then you're going to leave it sit. You're going to let it sit in there for a little while. And it will slowly start to change the color of your paper. So I'm going to do that with each one of them. Now it's going to take a few minutes to do it. It doesn't happen right away. Like most science experiments, it takes a little while. So I'm just going to leave it sit there. Here comes the wind. And I'm going to leave them sit there until they start to change colors. And then they'll show you what colors are actually in each leaf. And like I said, in the spring and the summer, the chlorophyll content in the cells of the leaves is high because there's so much sunlight. And the chlorophyll is working really hard to make sugars and starches for food for the tree. But as fall and winter come around, the trees tend to go dormant, which means they sleep or hibernate through the winter time. And so they don't produce the leaves and they don't need to produce all that stuff. So they get less sunlight. The chlorophyll starts to die off in the leaves. So the actual real color of the leaves, which are yellow or red or orange, some of them stay green, but they change colors when the chlorophyll content changes. So this might take an hour, couple hours to actually change. So you're going to want to come back to it a couple times throughout the day and see what color is changing in the leaves. I hope you enjoyed this.